Welcome to the Faith Jones channel. This is the place where Black women are free to exercise the power of her femininity without compromising her dignity. We do not advocate stroking male egos at the expense of destroying female self esteem. Here, there is balance. This is Faith Jones coming at you with another one of my videos. And in this video, I just wanted to talk about the single mother narcissistic mindset when it comes to teaching their daughters about avoiding her mistakes. In my last video, I was talking to single mothers about, just being honest with our children, especially our daughters, about mistakes that we have made in the past and about sitting our daughters down. And in order to break the cycle, because we are the first role model that our children look up to. And with that being said, I feel I have to work with the mothers, the parents of our next generation. And many of the parents of our next generation are not married parents. According to the US Census, only 30% of the Black population are actually married. 50% of us have never been married. So if you look at that small number of us who are actually married, then that leaves 70% of us who are raising children outside of wedlock. Now, we might have boyfriends living in the household with us, and that's the case half the time. And then we may have nobody living in the home with us, so the child doesn't see a dynamic where they have a man and a woman in the household. And I was trying to reach out to the sisters in my last video to say, what, we did a great job. We are the most educated, and hey, we get pats on the back for that because we, managed to overcome many obstacles to get to that point. So I'm not ever saying that education is something to be sneezed at. But what I was trying to emphasize in the other video is that when it comes to love, your education is not, how can I say, it's not the issue. Your education is not the issue when it comes to love. It's actually a separate issue, because when a man meets you, Black women, I just want to put that out there, they are not looking at whether or not you are educated or anything like that. Your diploma is not the first thing that a man notices when he sees you. Men are different than women in that they are visual. So it's always going to be, they like what they see first, and that's what makes them approach you. And then once they get to know you, they'll know whether or not you're educated, just by having a conversation with you. But whether or not you have a diploma is not what makes a man want to marry you. And this is evident with the type of females that a lot of these athletes that have millions of dollars, they can have any woman they want. But what type of females do they end up with? These women are usually poor and they're not very well educated. So that should tell you something. That should tell you that men of means, don't really care about your diploma, your college degree. And like I said, this is not to downplay your education and say that it's worthless. No one is saying that, none whatsoever. And I just wish that Black women would, stop, being in their feelings so much, about that, because a lot of you latch on to that because that's all you have. And I'm trying to figure out a way to say this that doesn't rub people the wrong way, because that last video that I had so many single mothers in the video wanting to argue about their redemption. And see, that video, it kind of just, really made me disappointed in my own women. And I'm so biased towards my Black women because, like I said, I'm part of that group. I'm a single mother. And it just really, really disappointed me that we were talking about helping the next generation, our daughters, our sons, by sitting them down and explaining to them that it's important to cultivate yourself. And yes, education is important, but as far as becoming a parent, make sure that you are husbands and wives before you become parents. And especially to our girls, make sure that you are wives before you become mothers. And the women came into my chat room and they were so busy thinking about themselves. Nobody mentioned their daughters or their sons, their children at all. They were so worried about themselves and they were so worried about their redemption. And it really disappointed me because I'm sitting up here talking about the next generation. It is too late for you as far as preserving your womb is concerned. And yes, there is a redemption for the single mother. I mean, there's always going to be somebody for everybody, but we were not talking about that in that particular discussion. And this is what frustrated me to the bone. Now, when I'm getting on Black men and I'm, really, really, letting Black men have it, these same women are in my chat rooms giving me high fives and like, yeah, tell them, Faith. Yeah, let them have it. They're no good. They want to bash on Black guys all day long. But when you turn the mirror around and say, okay, let's look at what's wrong with us. Let's see what we need to fix with ourselves. We done already let them know how we feel about them. And now, we've said what we've got to say. So now let's go on about our business because we, evoked that Black woman's wall of silence. We put up the Black woman's wall of silence. And so now we are no longer focusing on them. We know that some of them are abusive and they have mental issues. And so we're going to leave that alone and we're going to work on ourselves. We're going to work on ourselves and work on raising our children. And that's what I thought that, we were going to do. And having that discussion about, telling our little girls that, being single mothers is not a badge of honor. It is really a fucked up situation. I thought that, when I was having that conversation, that I was speaking to grown women who were of the same mindset. But I slowly began to realize that some of us are very deeply narcissistic to the point that we can't stop thinking about ourselves long enough to focus on talking about the next generation. I was within a group of women who were so busy. It was to the point where it seemed like it was frantic. It was like, oh my God, she's saying that women should be wives before they become mothers. But oh my God, she's saying that Black women should preserve their wombs for their men. But I've already had 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. So, what about me? What about me? And I wasn't talking about you. It's, you preserving your womb is over. And then I had a lot of people who were misunderstanding or mistaking me saying preserve your womb for being a virgin. And let me just make that distinction right now. You can be, you cannot be a virgin. You cannot be a virgin and still not have children. And that is what preserving your womb is, and as far as my definition. I know that there are not very many versions these days. That's a thing of the past. So, as far as like offering a man your virginity before marriage, that is not what I was talking about. I was talking about offering a man a womb that has not carried any other man's seed. And that is very different than virginity. And I just want to clarify that right here and now. Because a lot of women were running up into my forum, once again, narcissistic, only thinking about themselves when I was talking about the next generation, talking about what about our redemption, Faith? What about me? You're saying that I'm not gonna be able to get a man anymore? Oh, Faith, you're just trying to be an elitist. You think you're better than us, and you're a reformed whole yourself. And on and on. I mean, it really, really rubbed some of you the wrong way, and it showed. It really showed, and I was so disappointed, so disappointed, because that's not what I meant at all. Once again, for clarification's sake, for those who have selective hearing, for those who are only thinking about themselves, and that particular discussion that I was having, I was talking about the next generation on to the future. We were talking about young ladies and young men who have not yet made the mistake that we made. And we are talking about preventing them from making that same mistake by emphasizing becoming wives and husbands before becoming parents, and especially telling our little girls and putting them up on game and letting them know that they should always seek to be a wife before becoming a mother. And all some of you heard was you were doomed and that you would never get a man. And it bothered you to your core so much that you could not think of the next generation. And that is what was really disappointing. This is not to bash or shame anyone. My videos, especially as far as Black women go, because we have been stepped on and trampled upon so much by everybody. So who am I, another Black woman, to bash other Black women? When I come to my people, especially my Black women, I'm coming from a place of love. You'll never see me put up a video against another Black woman, putting her down, making fun of her, or any of that stupid, ignorant behavior. You're not going to ever see me doing that. Like I said, I'm not in the entertainment business. I'm not here to make anybody laugh, and I certainly don't want to make anybody cry, especially not a group of women whom I love. And I've stated this over and over again. No, this is not to shame you, bash you, put you down, or lower your self-esteem even further than what it's already lowered to, because some of you have some pretty low self-esteem, and that shows as well. And this isn't to do any of that. This is to lift you up. This is to take you to a place where you will get redemption. And if you can't see that mentoring the next generation and guiding them so that they don't make the same mistakes that you made is raising you up, then I don't know what is. It's just amazing to me that there's a group of females out here that are just that self-absorbed. You know, there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to say that you're not going to want to take in. You're not going to want to hear it. And I'm not in the business of stroking nobody's ego or, blowing smoke up your ass. I'm going to just try to give it to you as truthfully as I possibly can, in the most loving way as I possibly can, but it's going to be in the most raw form because we need it that way. So I try to find that balance. But like I said, it doesn't work half the time, and I make no apologies for that. I'm not here to mollycoddle anybody or look after your sensitive feelings. As a grown up, as a grown up woman, especially, you need to get a reign over your own emotions. But yes, single mothers have disqualified themselves for things that they would have otherwise been qualified for prior to making a poor life choice. And this is something that we don't want to hear. No, 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 Faith. No. I'm a good person. I'm a good woman. I deserve a good man. I do, I do, I do. And you do. But there are certain things that you can't expect to qualify for anymore after making a permanent life choice, such as having a child before becoming a wife. First of all, you're not going to have any control over how men look at you. That's completely out of your hands right now. And it's not to say that you should be worried or overly concerned about that, but it's just a fact. Men are going to look at you like, okay, she has children already. And that is going to be an obstacle to them. Or it may be an invitation to others that are predators. It could mean a lot of things. And so this is why, you need to keep a watchful eye over who you decide to date. The number of, how can I say, what type of men the women want that's like at the upper echelon. The upper echelon of men that you previously qualified for, you're not going to qualify for those guys anymore. Because the guys that have no kids, the guys that, have cultivated themselves and, saved their money and, really worked on themselves, they can have the pick of the litter because they are fit, they're in shape. I'm just running down like all the characteristics of a top-notch guy that every woman would want, whether she qualifies for him or not. If this guy put that much work into himself, where he thought enough of himself that he was not going to be spreading his sperm all over the place. He thought enough of himself to keep his body in shape. He thought enough of himself to get his financial game together. This guy has the pick of the litter. So if this guy can choose between you, a single mother, even with your degree and good looks or whatever, if he had to choose between you and a woman who doesn't have children, who also has her degree and good looks or whatever, who do you think he's going to go to first? And this is what we don't want to hear. This is the reality that a lot of single mothers do not want to face. That a dating pool of men that was once available to them is now fallen by the wayside. Being good does not make you automatically wifey material or a great candidate for all men. So now water seeks at its own level. You have a certain pool of men that may not be checking for you anymore. And there are exceptions to this rule. I'm not going to say that there aren't any men who are childless who don't marry single mothers. I'm not saying that at all. I am saying that it is not the rule. These guys are not going to be checking for you first. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news on that. And you can get angry, go run off to your pages and make a video about me or whatever. It's still not going to change that. Now, other dating pool that's still available to you, it's not saying that there aren't good men in those pools, because you have some single fathers out here who are good guys. They have good hearts, just like you're a single mother with a good heart. And these guys, they have cultivated themselves too. They have education, or they have, learned a trade, and they got their financial game together, but they made a mistake like you did. They made a poor life choice, but they're still good people. So I'm not saying that there isn't any redemption for you, but what I am saying is water seeks at its own level. Do not expect to get the top cut of men when you yourself are not the top cut female. Now, let's go to the bottom of the rung. If you are a single mother, strike number one, and you are uneducated, strike number two, and you're living poor, strike number three, and you're loud, belligerent, ratchet, strike number four, you're a thought, strike number five. You like to sleep around, you're kind of loose in the caboodie. All of these strikes put you at way at the bottom of the tree, and you become the low hanging fruit. And the low hanging fruit is easy to get. So anything that's slithering and crawling around on the ground will be able to feed off of you. And that is what you're going to attract. So if you are a single mother who has her financial game together, you got a great job, career, whatever, you are a lady and you carry yourself as such, um, you are still right up there in the top hanging fruit. And yes, you would qualify for a better caliber of man. But like I said, water seeks at its own level. You're not going to be high, high, high up on the tree, but you're up there. So, this is the good news that I want to share with you. There is redemption for you. I'm not saying that you're low on the ground like the other female that I just described. I'm just saying that don't expect to get somebody who doesn't have children. The big difference between you and a woman that doesn't have children is just that you have children and she doesn't. Other than that, you both got your financial game together, your education game together, you're both ladies. It's just that you have children and she doesn't, and that is going to disqualify you from getting a guy that has all of his ducks in a row. And in the black community, where the pickings are kind of slim on both sides, black men that have children, they're not in the same situation as a black woman that has children. And here's why. There is a unequal amount of, how can I say, male to female ratio going on. So this does inevitably put the men at an advantage. So that being said, there are going to be a lot of single black females who don't have children who will be willing to marry a black man that has his financial game together, that does have children. And so you are in competition with these women. And that's what kind of makes the playing field a little unlevel. And, once again, this is stuff that people hear and they don't want to hear it. I'm a good person. I deserve a man. I worked hard. I got my degree. I'm educated. I'm so smart. I'm beautiful. I'm this. I'm that. Blah, blah, blah. But you put yourself at a disadvantage when you made a poor life choice. And because someone is just being honest with you and telling you exactly what the game is, don't kill the messenger. You did it to yourself. But yes, a black man with children that has his whole other, everything else is tight, and he's a good guy on top of that. Yeah, a lot of these single black women with no children will take that guy under consideration faster than a single black man with no children will take you under consideration, because he has the pick of the litter. He can go even outside the race and bypass you. So, when a man can go outside the race and still bypass a single mother, a lot of them opt to do that. And this is stuff that we don't want to face. This is a reality that a lot of us do not want to face. And no, just because I am talking about marriage and relationships does not mean that a woman's focus should be all about that. And I've had a lot of people run into my chat rooms, a lot of butthurt females. Oh, Faith is talking about black women should bow down to black men and, bend over backwards for them and all of this. And she's all about relationships. And, it's more to life than just that. You need to get yourself together. No, that's not what I'm talking about at all. And you as a woman yourself know that most women want to get married. Most women want to have a partner in their lives. So let's just keep it all the way 100% real. Even though it's not the main focus of anybody's life, or it shouldn't be the main focus, the reality is this is what a lot of women want. And for you to sit up here and pretend that this isn't the case is not going to stop it from being something that a lot of women want. Um, when you do, as a single mother, meet a guy that has children, there are some things, and even as a woman that doesn't have children, because like I said, a lot of these women will consider a man of means that have children. But one thing to consider when choosing a man with children is that they do have financial obligations to households outside of yours. And so this is going to be money that's coming out of the household. This is going to be attention that could have been going to you and your children that you have with him, or your children that you don't have with him. This is going to be attention that's going to be taken away from you and yours. You are not going to be first on his list all the time. And that is the downside of dating a single father. And once again, you know, this is me, putting it out there as it is, 100% foolproof, no chaser. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything or spare anybody's feelings or be entertaining or whatever it is that you want me to be in order for me not to say these things that you don't want to hear. That's just the cold hard facts. And many of you may come up here and say faith, but there are some exceptions. Okay, exceptions are not the rule. For every one um, example that you can give me or where you can rub, okay, well, it's not like that because I know somebody that's doing such and such. There are 100 other examples where that is not the case. So let's not sit up here and try to pretend that these exceptions are the rule. Please, people, grow up. So yeah, prime men are not going to look at you as a single mother as being the number one choice. You're not going to be the greatest catch out there. Like I said, you'll be up there on the tree if you have other characteristics that pushes you up there. But you're going to be in competition with women who are better than you in other aspects, and especially the aspect of not being a single mother. Now, one thing I did not mention in my other video, because I talked so much about marriage, but we ought to be teaching the next generation about being financially stable even before thinking about marriage. And this is when you talk to your kids about cultivating themselves and working on themselves as individuals first. Because if you are a healthy individual, only then can you be in a healthy relationship. So, as an individual, you have to get your mind, body, spirit, your financial game, education, cultural. You have to get all of those things lined up in a row before you are able to have anything to offer to anyone else. I always tell my kids, once you've experienced life and, done a lot of things for yourself, gone out there, lived, by yourself, and taking care of yourself, once you've started stacking up your money and you now know that you have enough money if you wanted to take care of yourself and another person, then that's the time for you to start thinking about getting married, settling down, starting a family. That's when that should start entering your mind, when you've gotten all this lined up. And I don't think that we have this conversation very often with our children. And this needs to be the new mantra in 2017. We need to start telling our children not only should they wait until marriage to become a parent, but you should wait until you are financially stable to become a wife or husband. So, first comes financial stability, then comes marriage, and then after marriage comes children. One, two, three. Financial stability, marriage, children, in that order. And this is how we should be teaching it to our children so that they can get a picture of what it is that they should be doing in their personal lives as far as their interaction with the opposite sex, as far as their interaction with themselves. This should be the plan if that is indeed what they want to do. Not necessarily does everybody want to get married, and I understand that. And not necessarily is marriage the ultimate goal of dating. I understand that. This video is about being realistic about your options and knowing your worth. And with that said, can your worth and can your value go down? Yes, it absolutely can. You can do things to sabotage yourself and bring your value down. It's the same way with anything. Like if you're driving an expensive brand new car, nobody else drove it. How valuable is that car when it's brand new, fresh off the lot? Got that new car smell. That engine is just roaring. I mean, it's perfect. Nobody else drove it. Ain't got no miles on it whatsoever. That car is pretty valuable when you get it brand spanking new. But imagine driving that car for a while, putting a lot of miles on it. Okay, you put miles on it, but the engine is still roaring. You ain't got no scratches on it. You keep the inside interior looking good and clean. You keep the outside shiny and clean. You keep up with the maintenance on the car, the tires, all of that. So the car is still valuable. But these are things that you can do to make the car unvaluable. You cannot keep up with the maintenance. Now the engine is starting to clink. You got the oil light on. The tires, you haven't changed it in eons, and the brakes are going bad. These are things that you did to sabotage it. So on top of all of that, because what you haven't done as far as keeping up the maintenance on the vehicle, then you go and you have a wreck. You're going to have an accident. Now the car is all banged up and you don't want it anymore. So now you're going to try to sell this car. Well, now the value of the car has gone down because of all of these things that's wrong with it. So the next person looking at this car that's looking to buy, even if he was looking to buy the car, he's not going to buy the car if you had kept it in mint condition. If you had kept that car in mint condition, even with the miles put on it, that car would have been worth more. But because you didn't keep up with the maintenance, the engine's gone, the brakes, the tires, the inside interior, you've spilled coffee all on the floor, or it smells bad in there. You got stains all everywhere. You got dents all in it. That brought down the value of the car. For what you could have got for it, you're not going to get for it. And that's the same way with how you conduct your life. Here you are, brand spanking new. You haven't, had sex, you're a virgin. Nobody hit it. Okay, well, you start running out there, and now you're not a virgin. Okay, you're putting some miles on your body. But you're still valuable because hey, your womb is still unused. You can offer that up to somebody. So you know what? You're still up there. Your value hasn't gone down yet. But then, no, you go out there and you decide to have a baby. And then you done crashed your car at that point when you got pregnant outside of wedlock. So now the next person that comes to you that's getting ready to buy, he has to look at, well, she's had this kid and she's a little overweight now, and this, that, and the other. And then you didn't cultivate yourself, keep up the maintenance. You can keep the maintenance up on yourself. You didn't go to school and get your money game together. So now this person's dealing with you with bad credit and all this other stuff that's just leaped up on you. So yes, your value can go down. The decisions that you make in life can make your value go all the way down. And this is what women don't want to hear. See, we always want to tout that phrase, know your worth. But some of you ain't worth a pack of Skittles. And we don't want to hear that. No, no, no. We don't want to hear it. So, yes, there are going to be some women out here that you're in competition with that's higher on that tree. Their worth and their value is a little bit higher because there are certain things that they have done and certain decisions that they have made that put them a little bit higher. And there are going to be some decisions that you made that put you a little bit lower. And that's just the facts of life. And these are the facts of life that a lot of immature people don't want to face. They want to run and hide from it. What about my redemption? I'm a good person. I deserve. No. If you're running out here making reckless choices, then you have to face the consequences of those choices. You have to face that there's going to be some things that you don't qualify for anymore. And that's not saying that that discounts you as a human being. On a human level, everyone is valuable, but it does change the game for you in other areas of life. Like it's not going to affect you as far as your career, it's not going to affect you as far as your religious belief, but it may affect you in your love life. And it may affect you in your career if you have children out of wedlock because, babysitting is always an issue with single parents. So, like I said, these are things that people don't want to face. Another thing I want to talk about is the single mother versus the divorced mother. These are two different animals. You know, you can control whether or not you become a single mother before marriage. There are so many birth control methods out here for women, and there are a couple of options out here for men. So, becoming a single parent, especially single motherhood, can be prevented. But what you cannot prevent is whether or not a person falls out of love with you or you fall out of love with somebody and you no longer want to be with that person anymore. You can't prevent someone from divorcing you. The same way you have no control over whether or not somebody passes away, that's your spouse, and you become a single mother due to that and you're a widow. So, a divorced single mother and a widowed single mother is not the same as a single mother who made a poor choice in life, and that's the reason why she's a single mother. The two things are not equal. And this is another thing that a lot of single mothers don't want to hear. And then I have people that come and argue with me. But people, when they first see me, they don't know that I'm divorced. They don't know that I'm a widow. And they just judge me. Well, that's another thing that you don't have any control over. But once the person finds out what your situation is, it has always been my experience that people look at the divorcee and the widow differently. And that is just the fact of life. You are not in the same bag as a person who was reckless in their decision making in life choices and just did not plan. You're in a whole nother situation. Your situation was one that you could not avoid. You could not avoid this person divorcing you. You could not avoid your husband or wife passing away. So you are not a single parent by choice. Then I get the people that come running at me. They were single parents first and then they got married. But I got married after we had kids. And so now I'm not a single mother. I'm married now. I'm married now. And to these people, I say, okay, that's great, but you're still a fool. And here's why: you dodged a bullet. You played Russian roulette with you and your children's future by becoming a single parent before marrying the person that you had the children with. It could have gone either way. And you were still irresponsible in your actions. There was no guarantee that you would still be with that person. And I've seen so many situations where that is the case. These people were high school sweethearts. They were together forever, 7, 8 years, shacked up, just having baby after baby. It didn't work out. They split up. Well, there was nothing to really hold them together, or even slow down the process of them splitting up, because they were never married. So it was just easy to just step off. Hey, there's no paper there, no papers. Yeah, it's irresponsible still. I don't give a damn. I mean, that's like touch and go. That's just like a person getting in a car accident and the doctor saying you got a 50-50 chance of living. Hey, maybe you may live, maybe you may die. Maybe he may marry you, maybe he won't marry you with those kids y'all had before you got married. That's the situation you put yourself and your children in when you do it like that. So here again, we have people wanting to point to the exception. But we got married after we had the kids. That's the exception, but it certainly ain't the rule. A lot of times when these people are just willy-nilly out here having kids outside of marriage, they don't end up together. It's not a Romeo and Juliet type situation. They usually end up parting ways. And the children don't grow up in the household with both of their parents. So, once again, that was irresponsible. Please, please, ladies, teach your children to become husbands and wives first before having children. And that will not be a Russian roulette situation, a 50-50 touch and go, maybe you will, maybe you won't situation. If you are already married, when you have your children, that is a 100% yes, my kids will have a mother and father situation. Lastly, a lot of people have the stigma of single mothers. Does being a single mother mean that you are a hoe? Ho, 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 ho. No, I'm just kidding. No. Being a single mother does not automatically make a person a hoe. Um, like I said, there's so many women that, are self proclaimed good women, but they really are. They're good people that just made poor life choices. The same way that being a single father doesn't automatically make you a man hoe. You just made a poor life choice. Not saying that there aren't some, single parents or single mothers that aren't hoes, but they're not, they don't represent the majority. The majority of women I see out here are not hoes. They're good women, they're hardworking. Like I said, they're in school, they're getting their lives together. They just made a bad decision. And a lot of black men do try to portray single mothers as being these evil villains, and that is not the case. These are some decent, good individuals, but like I said, they got caught up. They were irresponsible and they made poor choices, and it's a choice that is permanent. That's their condition now. And just because that's their condition doesn't mean that that's their permanent mentality. A lot of these single mothers, realize that they made a mistake and they don't wish that on their children. And so they work hard, double time to, um, to erase the stigma that they have hanging over their head. And it is a stigma. Even if it does seem to be accepted today, there is still a stigma that goes along with it that, oh, she's a hoe. No, brothers, I hate to burst your bubble. And I think that's the reason why a lot of black men get angry at single mothers when they don't have easy sexual access to them, because you're under the false assumption that you should have easy sexual access because that person had a child. Just because a person had a child does not mean that they're easy. And you're going to be mad every time, every single time. And you're going to be thinking that you're entitled to get some easy punani, and that's not that individual's mindset. A lot of these women who became single mothers, they became single mothers from being in relationships with men that they cared very deeply for, and maybe the guy cared very deeply for them at one point, and so they had their guard down. They weren't thinking about any consequences. A lot of times they weren't, utilizing the proper measures to protect themselves. And yes, it is reckless and irresponsible, but it doesn't make that person a hoe. Well, anyway, I just want to conclude this video. I've said everything that I've had to say on the subject. This is Faith Jones, once again coming at you with another one of my videos. Please like, share, and definitely subscribe. I'm sorry. Have a good one.